there! Time for a live book reading. Today I am out back on my patio. I'm going to put, if I can comment, I'm going to put the links to my books here because I always forget. But I'm not going to forget right now. How are you today? And if you have not been here before, then welcome. If you have been here before, then welcome back. And I've got all my books here outside on this beautiful day. I'm in Central Florida. You can probably hear the wind chimes. Usually we only see hawks out here or bunnies. But now I'm going to be out here because it's so pretty out. Hi. Hi, Carlo. I think I'm going to start. Well, if you've been here before and you know how it works and you'd like to pick a book, let me put these two down. These three down. I've got Intuition, Forgiveness, Appreciation, Trust, and Karma. And if you will choose a page between, thank you, if you'll choose a page between 20 and 120, then I'll read something for you. Or you can just pick book 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and a page between 20 and 120. I say between 20 and 120 because I've got on YouTube the first chapter of each book that I've read. Forgiveness, Susie, what page would you like? Thank you for choosing that. Hope everyone's having a great day. Everything's in bloom here, and I've got all the pineapples, and I'm out back right now, otherwise I'd show you them, but I've got some jasmine blooming now too. Hi, Ashinafi. Forgiveness. Should I pick 20? Okay. This is Happiness in Your Life, Book 3, Forgiveness. We're going to go page 20. How's your energy today? Mine's pretty good. Had a little nap earlier. Okay, so this section starts on page 17. So if it's okay, I'm going to read from that because it's kind of at the end of that section at 20. Okay, so this is forgiving your parents. What you didn't get means you got something else instead. Excuse me, I might have a mosquito or two around here. When you look to your past, you may feel grateful or brokenhearted, depending on what you believe you were given or deprived of in those early years. Realize, though, that for everything you were given, you were deprived of something else. And for everything you were deprived of, you received something else instead. If you received encouragement, you were deprived of discovering self-worth independent of external validation from others. Those who grew up in a non-encouraging environment are perceived to be utterly fearless. But the truth is, they were given an early opportunity to develop validation from within without the requirement of external support. Hi, Mark. Those who were given encouragement must develop independent self-worth in adulthood. They are prone to bending over backwards in an attempt to try to please an unpleasable boss or spouse, as the concept of disapproval is so foreign to them. So is it better to give a child no encouragement? Of course not. But if you happen to be an adult in despair over not receiving any, recognize your gift and use it well. You can't change the past, so you may as well take everything positive that it gave you and apply those gifts, no matter how painful they once were, to your present and future happiness. That's a nice one to start with. Thank you for picking that. Let's go with another one. Intuition 66. Thank you, Liz. I was just about to ask. And sometimes these books will, excuse me, this one mosquito wants to be in our book reading. And I don't want it to go in my mouth. Let's see here. Intuition 66. And sometimes these readings will, maybe this outdoor book reading wasn't a good idea. Sometimes they will form a theme. So starting with that one, let's see if this does. Okay, so 66 is actually, it's an interesting page that you picked. It's the big 20. In the book Intuition, I have listed the big 20, and it's about learning your own inner language. So, let me see. Like what you would do is you would do for each of these, you would do a meditation, a short meditation, and then feel how you feel with one. For example, the first one is anxious or calm. The second one is uncomfortable or comfortable. The third one is inadequate or adequate. The fourth one is less, more, or of equal intelligence. So I think what we can do is we can actually go through a little meditation. And this is what you do is you do all these 20 and then you come out of each one, which you'll see when we do the meditation. But you come out of each one, and then when you come out, you write down where you felt the feelings. And so then when you're out in the real world doing whatnot, whatever, and you feel certain feelings, you know, because you've already translated what that feeling is. And this isn't something that's supposed to be immediate, but it is something that once you know it, once you know what you're feeling and you experience it out in the real world, you are so empowered and so in full control, and you'll know how to respond from. Now let me give you an example. If you would like to participate, let's have a little meditation, and we're going to do number 9. So if you will, hopefully you're not driving. Make sure you're in a place that you can actually do this and not seeing me swatting mosquitoes around. But if you are in a position that you're able to do so, then if you will close your eyes and just take a few deep breaths and just inhale and exhale and let your shoulders relax. And just feel that air, the cool air coming in and the warm air going out. And just allow your jaw and your eyebrows and your cheeks to relax. And allow your shoulders to relax. And keep breathing in and out, just easily and slowly. I want you to imagine a blank screen. Or imagine that you're in a movie theater and there's a blank movie screen in front of you. And as you look at the movie screen, it's going to be a movie of a time in your life when you felt unappreciated. And just keep breathing. And allow the scene to appear on the screen. You're completely safe. This is just a reflection. And as you're looking at yourself, feeling unappreciated, you've got that scene in your mind now. Feel where you're feeling it in your body. Does it feel heavy in your chest or in your stomach area? Do certain muscles feel tense? Do you feel like you're curving forward or becoming smaller? Feel how it feels in your body. And just keep breathing. And understand this is the feeling that you have when you're not being appreciated. We're going to do 3 breaths and come back. 1, 2, 3, and come back to the present moment. That feeling's yuck, isn't it? But now you know what the feeling is. So if someone in your life, maybe you give someone a gift or you do something for someone and they don't seem to respond and you feel that feeling, know that is you feeling unappreciated. It may not be even that you are unappreciated, but it's you feeling unappreciated. I'll go into more in a minute. First, let's get out of this feeling. We're going to go back into a meditation and we're going to do the good one, okay? All right. So if you'll close your eyes again and take some nice deep breaths, you probably still have that unappreciated feeling, but don't worry, we'll relieve it. And take some deep breaths and just imagine a light breeze. And that breeze is just blowing away any bad energy. Breathe in and out. And just relax. And again, straighten out your spine. Elevate your chin. And just allow any of the darker feelings, any of that darker unappreciated energy to just drop right off you. And now we're going to do in the movie theater is we're going to picture a blank screen. And on that blank screen, imagine a time in your life, or think back to a time in your life when you were appreciated, when someone really looked at you sincerely and appreciated you, and you felt it in your heart. You'll definitely feel that in your heart. That's the love, the heart space. I just breathe that in. Remember that feeling, how good it felt, how present it felt. Did it make you feel like you were standing taller? Did your shoulders separate a little bit and maybe move back? How does it feel in your body? And continue to breathe in and out and feel that good, that great feeling of being appreciated. All right, this is a much better place to come back from. So in the count of 3, we're going to come back. And deep breath. 3, 2, 1, and come back. Hi! So that's what you would do for each one, and you would write down in a journal just the feelings that you felt and where you felt them in your body. And you're basically learning the language of your own intuition. How it feels in my body may be different than yours. Probably it's going to be pretty similar. There's certain heavier feelings in that folding over. There's certain body language that we just do out of instinct. For example, if we're feeling uncomfortable, we might cross our arms, and that's a protection. Or the curling over is to be smaller. It can also be a self-soothing or comfort. But your specific language, when you learn that, it changes everything. Because then you'll know when you're feeling these things. And you'll know, for example, appreciation. If you're feeling appreciated, but then maybe in your life you've had some bad experiences or you feel uncomfortable about being appreciated. But when you start feeling that, you can say, oh, okay, this is actually being appreciated. I'm going to breathe this in and not milk it, but just enjoy the moment of it and allow that person or those people who are appreciating you to continue to do so in that moment. You know, we only have certain moments in life, and those are the good ones. So if we can really be present and appreciate them, for example, right now, I'm going to say thank you so much, Daisy and Rick, for the stars that you've sent. I appreciate you so much. I noticed them coming in, but I wanted to just pause for a minute and continue the meditation, but I do want to say thank you sincerely so much. I truly appreciate your support. Okay, so when you go through, I'll tell you some other ones. There's sad or joyful, angry or happy, ignored or attentive to, disregarded or valued, not trusted or trusted. These are very specific feelings, and I thought about making a whole course on this, but I don't think there should really be a time limit. I might end up making some meditations for each of them for you, or maybe do it in a little bit of a course, just so that you have a guide, because some people don't meditate, but they're very simple meditations. You just go into that quiet space, imagine that blank screen, and then watch yourself in the past reliving a memory and feel the feelings. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Liz. Okay, so I think that was a great choice. Because also, you know, there's so much, I've talked about this a bunch of times, where there's so much scattered chaos, and we're just bombarded with so much information on a constant basis, that it's actually so nice to just escape to a little meditation of any kind. And even if you meditate and you just wanted to have that feeling of being appreciated, like in those big 20, there's always the first one is kind of the bad one. And then the second one is always the good one. So you could even choose a few of the good ones and just meditate in that space. If your energy's feeling a little low, or if that day maybe you felt really unappreciated, you could go into a little meditation and just remember sometimes that you were appreciated, and allow that to reclaim your mood and your perspective. You know, if you have too many bad things happen in one day, sometimes it seems like everything's garbage. So to consciously center back to yourself, it can be really helpful. It can change the whole rest of your day. Thank you, Liz. All right, and we did have a request last time for appreciation, page 25. So I'm actually going to read that, but I also want to hold up the other ones that we will have left, which are trust and karma, and ask you to choose one and pick a page between 20 and 120, and I'll read that after the appreciation. Thank you, Liz. All right, so appreciation 25. When you like yourself, truly like yourself, you become grounded in who you are. You know that putting on a nice person show is exhausting and fruitless and fake. You'll evaluate new people based on if you get along well, not on if you'll be accepted by them if you're on your best behavior. If they don't like you as you are, well, good grief. Better to find out sooner rather than later. When you really like yourself, you don't want to be around anyone who doesn't care for you. What do you like talking about? What are you interested in? Maybe some things seem weird to some people, but that doesn't mean you're weird in a bad way or should change. It just means you won't be able to have those fun conversations with them. Relationships mean literally two or more people who relate to each other. Similar interests, values, goals, and an understanding of each other. The constriction felt when you don't feel like you can be yourself and let your guard down may be something very familiar to you. You may not have realized things could be any different. If you feel drained after being with people, it could be this, or that you're just kind of introverted. If you feel like nobody understands you, that is a very lonely feeling. But if you've been kind of concealing who you are, then really, how would anyone in your current circle even know you? Connecting with people is probably the pinnacle of human existence. Love isn't even possible without it. Part of that connection is trust. Trusting other people to be open with them, and trusting yourself to know if you want to be, and that if you do get rejected or burned, that you're resilient enough to heal from it. But in addition to trust, appreciation of people, including yourself, is essential for true connection. If a person never has a good thing to say about anyone, do you think they actually like themselves? It may seem like they're super critical about everyone else, and that would mean they think they're better than other people, but being overly critical of other people isn't something that people who like themselves do. If you are looking for things wrong with other people to elevate yourself, it means you believe you're pretty low in the first place. It's a shoddy survival mechanism at best and ensures disconnection from others sooner or later. If people feel like they're a bother or a bore, or that people are of no value, they won't stick around or spend their time in that company. Hi, Lucy. All right, trust page 20, trust page 53. Let's do both. Jane, I see you said 64, but I didn't see which book. Did you want from Trust or Karma? 20 and 53. And this is Trust. This is the heavy duty one. Warning, warning. The other ones, like Appreciation, I think is the lightest one. Karma's the most, oh wow. Trust is like diving in the deep end, but that's why also it's number 4, because, you know, I like to warm you up a little bit first. But you don't have to read any of them. You don't have to read all of them in order. If one is just more interesting than any other, but Trust is definitely diving right in the deep end. So let's go. Hi, Cheryl. We're doing 20, and then I think it was 55, I hope. Trusting yourself in bad relationships. See what I mean? When it comes to a bad relationship with another person, you've got to trust yourself enough to know when you've only fallen in love with an image. You shouldn't wish that you hadn't seen, hadn't heard, or overheard what shattered that image. Because that's like wishing for an illusion to continue instead of learning the truth and being able to decide what to do from there. Integrity is usually thought of as affecting other people, but mostly it affects how you feel about yourself. If you are the only one who knows that your relationship that appears to be wonderful isn't true, then you will be separated from everyone else in your core group. You may even develop a subconscious incentive to try and fix that person so that no one will ever know you were in a bad relationship. Again, if you want to change something, you have to recognize it and call it a bad thing. Otherwise, you're a willing imposter in the deceptive image. Excuse me, a mosquito flew. Am I right? And when it finally ends, your friends will be so confused because you seemed so happy and they had no clue. You may have heard of imposter syndrome, where people who have good things happen to them don't feel like they deserve it, but that's different. This has to do with self-worth and is about fear of actually loving yourself. Yeah, that if when you start a relationship, basically, is what it's saying. When you start a relationship and you're like, wow, this is the greatest thing, I'm so happy. And then if it's not, there's kind of a choice there, because you know what, your friends were so happy for you, and You almost don't want to break that whole illusion. You'd rather, well, let me see if I can fix this garbage and make it that great thing and everyone can still be happy about it. But that's not having integrity to yourself. And I've done it. So I'm not coming from a judgy place. I'm coming from yeah, I did it. Oops. Okay, 55. This is about, vulnerability and boundaries. Choosing to be open or closed. Okay. Let me see where this starts. I said 55, but where should I start this? This starts with a chart. I'm going to start it in a place that'll make sense. Okay, let's just go. To choose to be open means to choose to be free to enjoy life and experiences. To live in the moment and recognize that you don't have to have the entire road mapped out to be able to enjoy where you are. Each next moment is uncertain and is an unguaranteed adventure. Things may change for the better or for the worse, but your awareness will allow you to adapt and either step in further, withdraw, depending on how things unfold. Now, being too open too soon, thinking that's a good thing, is actually a big mistake and increases your vulnerability. If you're romantically interested in someone, and after a few dates you decide you want to be upfront and open about absolutely everything, and tell them about all your deepest hurts and secrets, you may feel a weight off in that moment. But without knowing who they are, you may have just unlocked the door to your china shop for a bull to enter and destroy the place. Honesty is a must, always, but full transparency is not for everyone. Actually, it says it's not for every person the wind blows your way. If you wouldn't give them a key to your house or your ATM card, don't tell them your secrets and deepest emotional pain. A false belief is if you share these deep things with someone, they will understand you better and know all you've been through and will treat you well and won't lie to you at all. But that isn't necessarily true. A person is who they are. If they were going to lie to you and treat you badly, taking advantage of your pain, they're going to do that regardless of what you've told them. And you only made it a lot easier by exposing where your pain is. Doing so won't turn a jerk into a nice person. If you did open up fully too soon to the wrong person, you may feel a false sense of security from it and be so shocked later and say, how could this person do this to me after all I told them that I have been through? Truth is, they were going to do it to you or to anyone in their path. That's just what they do. By dropping your guard too soon, you threw away your protection. You don't go running around a bad neighborhood at 2 a.m. with handfuls of $100 bills yelling, look at me, someone stole money from me before and it was awful, and expect that because you've announced that you've been stolen from, that no one would dare do it to you again. If a person is going to lie, take advantage, or try to manipulate, they will try and do that, no matter what you do or don't tell them. If a person isn't going to lie, deceive, or try to manipulate you, they won't do it, even if you don't spill all your secrets early on. Now, so that's about, goes in further about being open and closed, and vulnerability. Vulnerability is risk of being hurt, injured, killed. And I think vulnerability a lot of times is confused with being open. Because if you're feeling vulnerable or if you are actually vulnerable, that's two very different things. You know, if someone feels vulnerable, they feel uncertain, they feel like they might be hurt or attacked. And feeling vulnerable is always going to be 100%, that's how they feel. But are they necessarily vulnerable? That depends 100% on the other person. You know, like if you were to tell me a secret about you, once that secret leaves your mouth, it's up to me how I receive it and what I say in response. If I am totally judgmental and say, wow, you jerk, I can't believe you did that, you're hurt. Yes, so you were vulnerable telling me that secret. But that's kind of something that you're only going to find out after. And so you have to, at a certain point, trust And like I said, transparency and honesty, two different things. You know, if you totally don't know somebody, to just be totally transparent and honest, that's going to increase how vulnerable you're going to be and the likelihood that you're going to get hurt when you don't know people at all and you don't know how they are. There you go. That's a bit about that, but I think that's very important, because sometimes, sometimes there's that book that says feel the fear and do it anyway. Sometimes that fear is actually your intuition saying, let's not. And so you've got to tell the difference between, is this a fear or is this a feeling saying, don't open up more to this person, or hey, guess what? This person's lied 3 times. If I give them 3 more chances, what are they going to do with it? Lie 3 more. Okay, let's do one from Karma. Karma is the 12 laws of karma, and it's also got the karma of judgment and the karma in relationships. Calling 53, was that from Karma? I'm going to guess so. If not, then you can let me know. It's just a delay on the comments, so sometimes I jump the gun a little bit, and sometimes I'm slow on the gun. All right. This is from which law? Well, this is the law of mirrors, I think. The law of mirrors is my favorite. Law 5, yeah, the law of mirrors. And it's actually a little bit further on in the law. There's only a couple pages left. This is about negative qualities. Okay. Some people say no one can make you feel anything. Technically, no one can go into your brain and make you feel something. But then there's Jim Rohn and other authors, and one of the karmic laws that says you are the people you surround yourself with. I think Jim Rohn said you are the 5 people you spend the most time with. And the karma law of mirrors has it a little bit different, but it doesn't specifically say 5, but it says if you look around you, those are your beliefs. You may not be exactly like this person or this person, but the more time you spend with them and that dynamic is created, that becomes who you are. So what this law is about, the law of mirrors, my favorite. It's the most humbling one, I think, but it's also the most helpful one to identify what's in you and what's not in you in relationships, because you can see. Okay, basically, it is in the mirror. You see action, but you don't see motivation. Motivation is in your own mind. So if you see an action and you label it, that label is in your mind. Not necessarily something that you do, but something that you would do if that same action were happening. Like if you see someone make a donation to a charity, some people might say, oh, they're just trying to show off to people. The only way they would give a donation to a charity is if they were trying to show off to people, because they cannot see in that person's head. They only saw that person give a donation to a charity. If you say, wow, what a kind and generous person, you're a kind and generous person. Do you see what I mean? You're seeing the exact same thing, both of you, but the interpretation that you give it is what's going on in your mind. And whether you're right or wrong, who knows? Because that's what's going on in their mind. All right. So this is about being too close to people who have bad motivation going on in their heads. There's a danger in being close to someone who has negative qualities that you do not possess. The danger lies in your taking their blow-ups personally and feeling awful as a result. When we are faced with something confusing like that from someone we love, it really hurts. And sometimes we internalize that pain. You don't know why they are upset or angry, as you do not see what they see, but you don't want them to continue to be upset. What you need to realize is there is nothing you can do to remove that negative quality from them. You can't even see it. It will be up to them to remove it from themselves. This may or may not happen in their lifetime. If this is something that happens regularly, then you are setting yourself up for verbal abuse as long as you stay close to them. You can choose to put some distance between yourself and them, or if it happens weekly or even daily, you may even consider letting them go from your life. By staying close to them and continually getting accused of negative qualities in your attempt to help them to not be upset, you may try so hard to understand and see what they are talking about that you end up picking up some of these qualities. Then you would be able to see clearly those qualities everywhere you go. but it would also unfortunately mean they've developed in you. This is not a good solution and will decrease your overall happiness as well as the happiness of everyone who you come into contact with and in all of your relationships. Suddenly you may see negative things in other people that they do not actually possess, but the qualities have become part of you, so you just see them everywhere. Anger and confusion are actually your friends here. They indicate when there is a difference in mirrors. For example, if you're always doing thoughtful things for someone, and they never do a thoughtful thing for you, you may not understand why and get a little angry about it. It means that consideration is not in them. If someone gets angry with you and you just don't understand why, it means that whatever they are angry about is not the absolute truth. It is what they see in the world, so it's true for them, but it's just not in you. I think I'll leave it there. You are what you surround yourself. Yeah, birds of a feather flock together. And there's some other ones too. Some of these cliches, I swear, they're good. Like that, you go, oh, that's why. Like they're cliches for a reason. And some of them, I think they were valid at a time, but maybe not so much anymore. So thank you for picking that one. Let's do some quotes. This is the fun part. In this part, Quotes About Living is a book of 12 chapters. There's one chapter each from the 12 books, the 5 that are already available, and the 7 that are not. So when you pick a number between 7 and 95, I will open to that page. 64. Oh, 64 Karma. Okay, I'll do that first. And then we'll do Quotes About Living. So think about a page between 7 and 95 and call that out. I'm going to read 64 Karma. Hopefully that's not what I just read, was it? If it is, then I guess I already did it. No, it's not. Okay, this is in the Law of Direction and Motives. I love karma. I really do. I had no idea what it was until 15 or 20 years ago. And now I'm like, everyone needs to know because it just makes you look at things so much differently. It was so much more compassion and so much greater of an understanding. Lucy, 95 for you, and quotes 29. Okay, yes, please let me know which quote you want me to read. And in the meantime, I'll read 65 Karma, which is the Law of Direction and Motives. Law 7. But I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read page 65. Once you are happy with your life, there won't be room for those hurtful emotions anymore. You will be able to say that what you chose to do after the awful interaction with that person or event led to another path, which led to realizations, which led to more choices, that created this wonderful life you have built now. Without that person or event, the course of action in your life would have gone a different route and would not have ended up where it is. Some people go as far as to say that you should feel grateful towards that awful person or event, which is a bit of a stretch. This is on the everything happens for a reason thing. It's like, can be, but it's up to you to keep going and hit that happy ending, silver lining, wonderful life, so that you can look back and say, you know what? Because of what I chose to do, because of what I turned that manure into, these flowers, my life was wonderful. I don't like, no. Some people say you should go so far as to feel grateful toward an awful person or event. An indirect thanks, maybe. But I don't like saying the feeling of being thankful to someone who is so awful or abusive, because you can make something good of something awful, but it doesn't mean that awful thing was great. You know what I'm saying? Okay. You should, however, feel very grateful to yourself for your own strength and perseverance, and to your friends or to others who saw you through that time. Grow great flowers out of that manure. If you do, you get to enjoy the great flowers. If you don't, you're just stuck with old manure. Do it for you. You deserve it. Yeah, so that's Law of Direction and Motives. And direction and motives. Just think about that. Isn't that wonderful? If your motivation is revenge, empty. Even if you achieve what it was, and you've got supposedly you're in the place where you felt like you would have revenge on someone, like, I'll show him, and you make this great life. If it's about showing him, it's going to be a different place and a different feeling than if your motive is to say, I deserve a great life. I'm going to give that life to me. All your choices are going to be different. And when you get there, whether it's him or her or them or those guys or those ladies or whatever, you won't even be thinking about them. And that's really winning, is to be in this great life. And regardless, I used to say in spite of, and it didn't sit well with me. So somewhere around 2015, 2016, I started changing. I was like, why is it spite? Why do we need any spite in there? So I changed it to regardless. So now instead of saying in spite of, I say, you know what, regardless of that, like without regard, without thought, I'm just going to go for my best life. Thank you so much, Jane, for the stars. All right, let's go to the quotes books. But any page between 7 and 95. So far we have 95 and 29. So I'm going to read 95. And thank you so much for being here, too, by the way. I never let you know when I'm going to be on, because I never know when my neighborhood's going to be quiet, when I'm going to be up from a nap and whatnot. So I so appreciate every time when I come on and you're here and we just have some fun reading some books. Makes my day. It makes my week. Makes my month. All of the above. All right. This is my favorite quote. 95. Nothing in life is permanent. Not even life is permanent. So take up those good memories with you and move forward. If you only remember the pain, if you only remember the end, you'll have a dark fog around you that will prevent you from seeing all the opportunities and new beginnings that come your way every single day. Lift the fog and face every new day with optimism. Sure, there's bound to be some more trying times ahead, but there will be many amazing times too. You're here to love and learn, and at those two things, you have always, always succeeded. All right, 29. Does that sound weird when I say that? When I read something, I go, oh, I love it. I really do. And also, I mean, like quotes about living, I wrote this in like, what, 2013? That's a long time ago for me, you know? So I get to kind of look back, and it's almost like looking at a photo album and saying, oh, I remember those. I remember those pictures. I remember those good times. So just to, yeah. Anyway, 29. There's two quotes on here. This is trust, actually. The trust one. You are not a fool for trusting someone who lied to you. They are the fool for lying to someone who trusted them. It's the easiest thing in the world to get away with temporarily, and the hardest thing to recover from permanently. Please don't let it change you. There are already way too many of them, and far too few of you. Quote 7, Shirls. Thank you for picking that one. Trust. Yeah, trust. I don't like when people say, oh, they're such a good liar. No, call them bad at telling the truth. Wouldn't that be better? Just say, oh, that person's terrible at telling the truth. Just garbage. Like, why are we giving good liar? He's such a good liar. It's almost like a compliment. And then we call people stupid for believing lies and trusting. That's the good thing. Do you know how hard it is to trust people after you've been betrayed and let down? It's really hard. You go, that's a really good truster. Don't call that person stupid. Ever. Especially if it's you. All right. So 7 is from karma. Karma is a word often used as a curse on those who have done something wrong. It's also thought of as a way that someone will receive payback for good or bad they've done. Karma is not a punishment or reward system. It is based on understanding. If you only do good things in expectation of a reward, the reward will not show up. If you do good things purely for the basis of helping another, it will show up without fail. Karma is not something that can be controlled, but it is something that always delivers. And one thing I would add to that, this is a little, I mean, how much can you have in a quote? But one thing I would add to that, it will show up, but it's still up to you to receive it. And you receive it with, where's the button? You receive it with appreciation. So if you say, oh, I always do good all the time and nobody cares. You've been telling people not to care, probably. You'd probably say, like, Jane quote 75. You've probably been saying, oh, it's no trouble. Ah, don't worry about it. No, you don't have to. Ah, you shouldn't have. And eventually people believe you. And they don't bother. They don't worry about it. They won't. So start just saying thank you, thank you. That was so kind of you. That was so thoughtful of you. That encourages the reciprocation. Reciprocation is a good word. I'm going to make that our word of 2022 if you want. I think it would be a good one. Reciprocation. Because we always thought of good as output only, but we come up with all this narcissist empath stuff. Well, if you're giving 100%, the only person you'll be able to attract is someone who wants to give 0. But if you're giving, today 70, then they give 30, tomorrow you give 30, they give 70, there's like this reciprocation, and that's the connection and the being there for each other thing. If you're always giving 100 and the only people around you are, maybe it's not 199 and a half. The people around you are giving 0, then what if you're at a time where you need something? All of a sudden, they can't be found. So, reciprocation. Okay. Ooh. This is a good one, 75. What's this from? This is from Thoughts and Words? No, this is from Faith. It's from the chapter on faith. An honest, good intention with a poor method will lead to either frustration or learning one way that didn't work. A bad intention with a good method will lead to deception. Intention is one way or the other, but method can be improved upon with the development of tact and consideration of different perspectives. That's actually a really good one for the big buzz about the Oscars last night. People that had good intentions and terrible methods. How's all that drama? Going to create a story with reciprocation. Maybe I'll write a little bit. Maybe I'll ask, I've been asking some questions on the page. I'll say, how do you feel about, or what's a way that, there's a difference between reciprocation. I have that in the book, the appreciation book. There's a difference between reciprocation and something being transactional. And I don't think it should be transactional because then there's no room for trust, If you go, well, every time we go out for dinner, we pay it 50-50, or I pay for mine and you pay for yours, or, we have, say it's two people that live together and it's like, that's my milk, that's your milk, that's my eggs, that's your eggs, and there's a certain it's fair, and if you really don't trust anyone to take advantage of it at all, or you don't trust yourself to overgive, then maybe that would work in the long run, but it seems like it's a little too strict. I don't know. I mean, like I said, if it works for people, then it would work for people, but I think transactional is equal down the line every day. And reciprocation just means the ability to give and receive and the desire from both or all people involved to do so. Charles, I'll type it. It is kind of maybe I'll think of a shorter word for it. Would anyone else like a quote from page 7 to 95? I will read a quote for you. Hi, Trish. Thank you so much. I'm so happy every time I pop on because you're so nice. And I actually love that. Maybe that's why I do it too. I just kind of pop on. Hi. Because if you have certain things scheduled, then a lot of people know about it and a lot of people come, and then you don't have time to just be with people, And I'd rather just be with you all. All right. Between 7 and 95. And I'll read a quote for you. What are you feeling? And I did put the link. It's in the video description. And it's also in, I think I put it like the first or second comment. But it has the links to all the books. And this I also have available. Page 5? Okay. This one I also, Quotes About Living, is also the Happiness in Your Life app, which is amazing. I love it. And sometimes I post screens from there. I think it's either $6 or $7 US. There's a link in my links as well. But the app is, actually there is no page 5. 7 to, we have 2 Trishes. 97. There's no 97. 7 to 95. Trish Taylor and Trish Payne, please pick another number. I have to write a longer book to be able to get those. But yeah, it's also available as an app where you have it, and it's a one-time thing. I think I'm going to say $7, so that way if you see it for $6, it'll be like, wow, it's less than I thought. So it's like $7 one time, that's it. No subscriptions, no other charges, and you get all Hi, Robert. Thank you. You get every single quote that's in here, but in an app form with the little butterflies. And then when you hit I do that because they actually do. When you hit the button for like message of the day, 84, when you hit message of the day, then a little butterfly flies up and it gives you one of these quotes. And it's just for you. It's your message. This is a good one. This is a self-worth one, I think. Yes. Trish Payne, this is for you. Be patient but persistent in rebuilding your self-worth. The path to self-worth can only be reached when you love and accept yourself. Not only when you're perfect, but right now, today, exactly where you are. Accepting yourself will not mean you will lose the drive to become better. It is the opposite. You have to believe in someone to believe they can become more than who they appear to be today. Otherwise, it would seem like a waste of effort. Important point in there. You cannot berate someone into bettering themselves, including yourself. You encourage someone. When you believe in someone, you say, oh my goodness, that could be so great. You think so? Let's do it, And that's in yourself too. Other Trish, was it Trish Taylor? Please pick one. Robert, do you want to pick one too? Between, this one, I think it's the same mosquito. 15? Okay. 15, what's that? Is that from Karma? Thank you for picking that one. 15 is from Karma, and it's the law of value and upliftment. Law 12. Hello, Amelia. From Morocco. Wow, I haven't been there yet. One day. Okay. Law 12, the law of value and upliftment. The great things you contribute may not be reflected right back to you, but they do increase the collective good. By doing your best, you increase in your way the value of the whole. Certain people throughout history have awakened in millions truth, freedom, peace, and compassion. In and of themselves, their lives may not have been opulent or easy, but the value they added to millions upon millions of lives is immeasurable. That's a biggie, huh? I really do believe that. I think especially when you're feeling like there's so much bad going on in the world and it's so awful and stuff. I wrote this little book. It's like a 1-chapter book, and it's called Wake Up and Be Awesome. And one of the parts in it was act as if you're a billion people and know that the good that you do matters. Like if you give a $5 donation to something, or if you volunteer for 1 hour a week, imagine you're a billion people, and that was, a billion $5 donations, or a billion volunteer hours. You know what I mean? Like you can't feel like until everybody in the world is happy and fed and living in peace, that's the only time that you'll be allowed to, because this is never going to happen. You've got to do some good, have faith that it matters, and also enjoy your life. Thank you. All right, any more from Quotes About Living between page 7 and 95? If not, then we're going to move on and close with Improve Your Life in 80 Days and have a message to take us out into the world. Neighbor's dog is barking. Maybe he wants his dinner.